And hello there once again. This is Psychochronic, aka Psychorarity, here just chilling, and welcome to another episode of Rarity Talk. What is Rarity Talk, you say? Psychochronic, aka Psychorarity's podcast, vlog, or show, whatever you want to call it, speaking about the Canadian Street Fighter community through my perspective, to be specific in the time frame of 2005 all the way to 2020. So here we are again, and here we are with episode 15 of Rarity Talk. What do we have here? My history with Street Fighter Alpha 3. Psychochronic, aka Psychorarity, discusses my history with Street Fighter Alpha 3 from 2004 to 2009, 2015 to 2018, and 2020. My history of playing Street Fighter Alpha 3 throughout 3 FGC eras within a 16-year time span, and its various experiences to me in the fighting game community, as this was another gateway fighting game that led me to the scene. The 15th episode of hopefully many, part Canadian history lesson, part time theater, part photo album, speaking about the Canadian Street Fighter community through my perspective. Not including this intro, there are 4 chapters for me to go through on this one. So, this is going to be a very interesting, I'd say, topic. My history. This is my third My History with a specific fighting game and exploring its respective sub-community. First being Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, second being Street Fighter Alpha 2, and this is the third My History as part of Rarity Talk. So, let's get the show on the road, shall we? Alright, let's get on to the next episode of this chapter.
Here comes a new challenger.
Interest and motivation. The first time I saw the arcade machine was at the first phase of the home arcade in Mississauga in the game Skybox sometime in 2000. One of 3 games along with Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and Tekken Tag Tournament that was played on the 8-foot projector at $1 a credit. So this was the first time I've ever played this game and ever seen this game was in our home arcade before the game Skybox was moved next to parking area B. So this version of the arcade was across the elevator, and there used to be a Cineplex Odeon movie theater right beside it. Now it's replaced by Old Navy and Sport Check, as the last time I was in Erin Mills Town Center like a few years ago, just out of nowhere. So like, that's the first time I've ever seen the game. Like, new music, new sound effects, new normals, new special moves, new characters. Alright, it's something that you would expect. And, an ism system, a fighting style. That was pretty interesting. So, when I had the Dreamcast, I already had a copy, a legit copy, not burned, of Street Fighter Alpha 3, Capcom vs. SNK 1, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. My re-interest in fighting games at the beginning of 2000, quite possibly the only person in school that had a Sega Dreamcast, as everyone wanted to wait for the PlayStation 2 over a year later. So these 3 games hold some type of specialty in my heart, because when I got the Dreamcast, I always liked to play fighting games and just kind of had the feeling that the arcade port is as identical to the console on this one, because they use the same type of mechanical type engine type shit, which is like, okay, cool. These games were cheap back at the time. CVS 1 and Marvel 2 were $59.99, so after tax $65, and Alpha 3 was $49.99 after tax $55, which is pretty good. It's like, okay, and you had 2 controllers, and you always had fun, with single player content, most likely, the World Tour mode, which is pretty fucking sick. But I had to move in July 2001 to finish high school and lived in Tecumseh for 2 years. Tecumseh is just a town outside of Windsor, population, 11,000, 13,000. No buses in Windsor, as Windsor Transit go through Tecumseh, making it impossible to travel without a ride, as I lived with my grandparents, resulting in me missing the first 3 years of the arcade era of the Street Fighter community. Alright. So basically, when you go home from school, you're playing on your Dreamcast, just playing games on your spare time. Now, in my feeble early 2000s, feeble little 15 to 17-year-old high school mind in a small little town, I felt like I was the only person in my high school that couldn't be beaten in fighting games, as playing video games wasn't really accepted and you were called a nerd and constantly made fun of. With the exception of Grand Theft Auto 3 for PlayStation 2, there was no interest of anyone playing video games at the school, along with being the only person in school that had a Dreamcast and the knowledge of burning games onto CDRs. So basically, video games were pretty much in this time frame and era of life where I lived in was unaccepted. Nah, you just a nerd, blah blah blah, whatever, that type of shit. But well, everyone has a special type of talent. People play hockey, people go, ice skate, people debate club or whatever high school clubs or what other hobbies people do. Mine was games. And all games have their competition, be it Mario Kart or Mortal Kombat or NHL or Madden. It's like when it comes to a fighting game, because like I always had that nice niche with one-on-one competition, and I always viewed this as my favorite genre growing up in games. Yo, I'm gonna beat you silly in this game. So in comparison to everyone I knew in high school, you're not gonna beat me. And I kind of stuck by that. But like, hey, it was just a hidden talent that you had. As I grew up, I enjoyed playing the game during my high school days, and another fighting game for me to learn in the entering the scene in January 2005. Capcom vs. SNK 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, Hyper Street Fighter 2, Capcom Fighting Jam, and Guilty Gear XX Reloaded. And out of those 6 games, 5 of them have Xbox Live support. So, playing online, you already had the Xbox Live subscription before you even played in the scene and went to your first tournament. So, figure why not. And yeah, that's the end of that chapter. Slightly over 5 minutes. All right. Let's get on to the next chapter of this episode. Kaillera 2004 plus First Run. OG GGPO Early Street Fighter 4 era, 2005 to 2009. Unknown date in 2004. The only way to play this game online is through Kaillera online matchmaking client and must use MAME32K0.64 as it was the best emulator with extremely low chances of desync issues. Watched countless amounts of matches from various Japanese arcades, specifically at Cho and the National Major and Ultimate Zero, linked from Go for Broke news site. Didn't have an arcade stick or any USB controller, so I must use the keyboard to play. So that was one poverty way of how to play Street Fighter online if you didn't have, or even offline, if you didn't have a stick or a controller. You had to use the keyboards. Your left hand would be used for the attacks, while your right hand would be used for the directionals. And it was a pretty actually unique way to play games. Most likely, it was pretty unique. Just the it's kind of hard to explain, but I think you kind of know what I'm talking about. Like playing on the keyboard and having, we're all used to playing on pads or sticks. So, July 2005, the home major in T6 held at Orbit Entertainment Center at Pacific Mall. There is no tournament for this game as it didn't reach the 16-man requirement, along with no arcade cabinet available to house that CPS2 board. Casuals available in the LAN area as the community pitched in to have a MAME station for the games not in the tournament. Garo Mark of the Wolves, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Vampire Savior, and Puzzle Fighter. And Super Gem Fighter. Not Puzzle Fighter. Okay, Super Gem Fighter. I'll put that in. SGM. Alright, so this is the first ever major that I ever entered. And I was only 7 months in the scene, and it was held at Orbit, meaning head-to-head Japanese cabinets. But at the back, which is like the back right of the premises, there was like at least 6 to 8 computers, all LAN stations. And back then, this is before social media, and this is before internet browsers were put on phones. Whenever a major was done, all the full results would be posted on Monday. In the case of the T Series, and in this case T6, we were one of the first few majors to have instantaneous updates from the tournament, and it was all posted on Shoryuken forums back then. There was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, so it was all done in the forums, which is pretty good. And out of those, let's say 6 or 8 computer stations, at least 2 of them would be used for emulator stations. I think we used the WinCoax emulator, if I'm not mistaken. So here you get to play any game that you would like to play. That's like not in the tournament, but not also in the arcade as well, because they did a Garo Mark of the Wolves tournament that year, and it was played on one of those 2 LAN computers in a WinCoax emulator. So yeah, that's how it was back then. And in the case of Alpha 3, you were able to get casuals within that weekend, and that was the first time I met Temujin, who happens to be the best player in Montreal. He uses V Sakura. He got the chance to play Jason Cole and Arturo Sanchez, and he went to B5 and he got to play Boss. And it was a pretty cool thing. Just to meet a top player at the time. So at the home major at T6 in 2005, the only way you can play Street Fighter Alpha 3 is in the casual LAN station in the back using WinCoax emulator. July 2006, the home major in T7 held at Orbit Entertainment at Pacific Mall. There is a tournament for this game for the first time in 2 years since T5 2004, and a special 5-on-5 in Team Canada versus Empire Arcadia, thanks to the CPS2 board donated by the OG in Dogberry, which gets all of Montreal Street Fighter MTLSF out of hibernation for that weekend, and a possible revival period in Toronto going into 2007. Main character in V. Karin lost to CB via Kuma and Pumanded X Zangief. So to explain a little earlier in this little paragraph, just to let you know that the Orbit Arcade does not own 2 boards. There are 2 boards that were donated, and that's a gray version of Super Turbo. So gray is what, Europe in terms of the board color. I know blue is North America, and green is Japan, but I'm guessing gray is Europe. So we had a gray Super Turbo and a green 03, not Alpha 3, 03, because it's a Japanese Alpha 3. So the board is green, therefore we have a 03. Those 2 boards specifically are not owned by the Orbit Entertainment Center. They are owned by Dogberry. Yes, I'm mentioning it. Dogberry, aka the fucking Toronto King of Old School in Toronto, the Walking Yoga Hyperbook, my mentor and sensei teaching me basics and fundamentals back in this time frame. Yes, he owned those 2 boards, and he donated those 2 boards to be used for that tournament. So yes, y'all should be thanking him to have some activity in Super Turbo and Alpha 3. Results: 22 entrants. Arturo first, Justin second, Temujin third, Master Mao fourth, Super Ass Rider SARS fifth, Hero fifth, David Spence seventh, Prez seventh. So here you have 2 NYC, 1 Philly. Technically he is from Toronto, but he's living in Philly at the time, and David Spence, and 5 Montreal in your top 8 in the national tournament. That is it's pretty safe to say that Montreal was the best city in Canada for this game, bar none. So as they actually had access and activity to that game even prior to CVS 1 and Marvel 2 and Third Strike. And then in terms of the Canada versus Empire, Empire wins 13-8. So your results: Hero 2 and 3 with V Sakura, Master Mao 3 and 2 with V Vega, Temujin 1 and 4 with V Sakura, Super Ass Rider SARS 2 and 3 with V Charlie, and CB from Ottawa 2 and 3 using V Akuma. And they all beat, it says in this list, they all have 1 win, all with Flash Metroid going 0 and 5, but going 5-0 on you is Justin Wong and Arturo Sanchez. So so the Team Empire was basically Justin, Arturo, Flash Metroid, Duran, and yes, Prez from Montreal. Yes, at the time he was Empire. So there you go. And that's my time of this, my second appearance at the home major in T7. September 2006, September monthly tournament and first monthly tournament since the home major in T7 2006 in the return of JS Masters Mom at Orbit. Yes, that's the actual name of the event. You can go on Super Combo Archive, formerly Shoryuken Forums, and yes, you can search that up. This is not a fucking joke. Alpha 3 having the most amount of entrants at 12, and here you go. Me going 0-2, as I'm literally baby steps in this game, and the first place in Ratio 1 beatdown in Yellow S4, they decided not to play the Grand Finals, whatever, just Grand Finals are 4 out of 7 back in the fucking day, or a game dependent, sometimes even 3 out of 5. But hey, they didn't want to play it, just split it, whatever, who cares. But so yeah, this is me going 0-2 again. So yeah, so the first monthly after the major. October 2006. October monthly at Orbit, Break 16 at Orbit, none of the games, CVS 2, Marvel 2, Third Strike, Guilty Gear XX / broke 16 players. Horrible failure on that part, but a fun tournament nevertheless. First Orbit monthly in a very long time, nearly 1.5 years, where I don't show up. Yes, I felt like I needed that one tournament where I don't show up, and you gotta understand, for me to get all the way to Orbit from Northwest Mississauga, I gotta take 5 transfers, 2 Mississauga transits, 2 subway lines and 1 bus TTC to go all the way to the North Toronto Markham borderline to Pacific Mall to play this. Like, no, I've done that at least once a month, and this is the 1 month where I really needed that break. So this is your 15 entrants that has entered this tournament. So your top 4, I would say, Ratio 1 beatdown, Yellow S4, Tedeschi Canadian, JS Master. So 3 Toronto, 1 Mississauga. Alright. December 2006, annual tournament in Christmas Countdown 2006 at Orbit that also acts as the final monthly tournament in this scene for the year, in the year. Sorry. Not the final tournament in the scene ever, but like the final tournament in the scene in the year. Alpha 3 with the most amount of entrants in the history of the scene, 24. Full results not listed, and I forgot who I lost to in this event. So 24 entrants for Alpha 3, and this is your top 8, which is Ratio 1 beatdown in Yellow S4 from the previous tournament. So I think it's pretty much to say that these were the best 2 players in the scene at the time. The best player in CVS 2 and a top tier player in Third Strike. So like, okay, that was just like, alright, no problem. January 2007, the first RANBAT ranking battle season is introduced in the scene. A bi-weekly tournament series spanning 8 single elimination until top 4 sessions in 4 games. CVS 2, Marvel 2, Third Strike, Alpha 3, 0 interest in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and most Guilty Gear players migrating to Love Getty Station as they had Accent Core. I'm the co-director for Alpha 3 with Yellow S4, switched from V Karen to V Mika after watching cheeky USADA match videos due to bad matchups experience and opponent character unfamiliarity. Our RANBAT system, single elimination until top 4, first place 10 points, second place 7 points, third place 5 points, and fourth place 3 points. Session 1.1, JS Master and Yellow S4 as your top 2. Fastest Pig as 3rd and Nagatalock as 4th. We were missing a lot of expected players for Alpha 3, including Ratio 1 Beatdown, Original Gatsby, Flightwing, Mythic Exile, K2, and FDK. Some people didn't make the sign-up deadline, others just didn't show. So, okay, fine. Some of the top players or former players don't want to play, no problem. At least there's some type of activity for this game in the scene, and you're lucky it was put on the Ranbat season for the first time ever incorporated here. February 2007. The next session of Ranbat Session 1.2 was cancelled due to having a busted medium kick button, but we were able to have a solid turnout for the next session. And yes, just to let you know, this is every 2 weeks. Alright, this is every 2 weeks. So at 1.3, which is the second session, Yellow S, JS Master, Yellow S4, Fastest Pig, and Mia. Finally, I'm in the points. I forget who I beat on this one. It was either Gurjay or Poke Guy that I beat to get that top 4, and then I lost to JS Master, and then I lost the Fastest Pig. Okay, and that's going to be a recurring thing throughout this Ranbat. You're only going to lose to the same 2 people after this session. So I'm finally on the points board on this one. March 2007. G3 Evolution March Madness Tournament in West Mississauga. Alpha 3 was the success of the event, even though Guilty Gear XX/ didn't finish and was the main draw of the event, and Third Strike ran really late. Perfect tournament to compete in during the middle of Ranbat season without having to do the brutal 3-hour commute to Orbit. Random seating in effect in all games. Names chosen out of a hat. 15 entrants, and I remembered this one because I lost to Noodle Man because Zangief counters Mika, and like I'm really Pringles. My character knowledge with Zangief, I think Zangief destroys Karen and Mika pretty fucking badly. So I'm already on a counter character crisis, and RDK because it's Akuma, and Akuma is the best character in the game, and you cannot air to air Akuma because he's always gonna do jump hurricane kick. You know. You can fucking do, custom combo, demon flip, guard breaks and all that shit. Like, I remember this, and I was pretty salty that I got, 1 and 2 at this tournament, but it was random seeded. So it's like, okay, come prepared, Japanese style, partial Japanese style at least. No session for Ranbat 1.4 as I wasn't able to show up, but a solid turnout for session 1.5. Third Alpha 3 session, so with Fastest Pig is not third, now that goes to Gurjay. So basically the same 4 people just switch out the third place name, and just basically the same thing as last time. So at least I got some points on the board on this one, but I lost to Gurjay in the third place match because, well, Dalsum counters Mika. It'll become a pretty familiar match for me throughout my entire time frame in this early era of Mika versus Dalsum. So, April 2007, 10-player turnout for Ranbat session 1.6 and an unknown amount, probably less than 8 players as I wasn't there. So only listed top 4 results for Ranbat session 1.7. So here, 4th and 5th Alpha 3 edition. So at 1.6, so the 4th session, 4th place again, where I lose it's always a common occurrence. You're gonna beat Gurjay, so you got your revenge from last Ranbat, and then you're gonna lose to JS Master, but instead of losing to Fastest Pig, you lost to Nagata Lock Justin. Like, okay, fine. But that's another 4th place finish, meaning I'm on the points board again, so that's fine. And the 5th session, which is here, I didn't show up. I'm just going on what people, posted on that time frame. So there you go. May 2007, no final Ranbat session 1.8, but this is the conclusion of the first Orbit Ranbat after 8 bi-weekly tournaments. Only game to have another season of Ranbat is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, while Orbit is transitioning into Playscape, which means return the Alpha 3 board to its rightful owner. The end of this Ranbat season will signal the end of the arcade era in this scene by the end of the year. Perfect warm-up en route to the home major in T8. So, in 2 months, May, June, July, it's the home major in T8, and I felt like this Ranbat season really kind of put me on edge, and kind of like it helped level me up in Alpha 3. So that was a good 5 months of the game. for Ranbat season, believe it or not. So it was pretty good, and which means return. Oh yeah, it is my responsibility as one of the co-directors to know if the scene is not gonna run another season of Ranbat for Alpha 3. It is my responsibility to call up or message up Dogberry. Hey man, the scene ain't gonna use it again for the next season of Ranbat. Please pick up your boards. Okay, no problem. I'll be there within a week. Done. So that because Orbit at the time was transitioning to Playscape, therefore they had less machines. Rather than have 3 rows of 6 or 7 cabinets, they'd have 1 row of 18. So you had more space, and all around surrounding it was all redemption games and less shooting games and less music games. So yeah, so that was the last time I've ever been to Pacific Mall and Orbit ever since. So it's like once we were done with Ranbat, it was like whatever. Final results over 8 bi-weekly sessions. First place in JS Master because in the 5 sessions available, he won all of them. First place. Second in Yellow S4. In 4 sessions he showed up, he got second place. Fastest Pig with 15 points. Me with 9 points, so I'm 4th place. Negatalock in 8 points at 5th place. 6th place WB in 7 points because he did get second in one session. Gurjay with 5 points as he got third in a previous session, and Poke Guy with 3 as he got 4th at a previous session. So this is your top 8 ranked of that year for Street Fighter Alpha 3, and I'm lucky to even get be in the top 4 rather than be in the bottom 4. And I'm using a low tier character in the process in V Mika. Yes, if you don't know in terms of character tier lists, Mika is the 3rd worst character. She's better than Julie and Birdie. So, July 2007. The home major in T8 held at Campus Cove at York University, the first major in the scene where the scene transitions from arcade to console. Me and Dogberry are the co-directors of 3 games, Alpha 2 Friday, Super Turbo and Alpha 3 on Saturday. Lost to Justin Wong v Sakura and JS Master v Sakura. Knowledge of Psycho Gauntlet put to the test. Now just let me get a drink of water on this one. Alright. Results, 16 entrants. First place Arturo Sanchez and second in Justin Wong. So basically a repeat of Grand Finals last year. Done this year again, but Arturo is not using V Vega, he is using A Dulcim. Third place in David Spence, 4th place in Prez. 5th place in JS Master, 5th place in Family Man. 7th place in Psychochronic, 7th place in Original Gatsby. I was fucking proud because my bracket, even though it's 16 players, all you gotta do is win 2 matches to get top 8. This is the home major with Justin Wong, the almighty Justin Wong in the fucking house. I beat Poke Guy, I lost to Justin Wong. I beat Dogberry, I lost to JS Master. Alright. Reached the mandatory 16-man minimum to run a side game, but pretty disappointed as half of Montreal, Temujin, Arcade Kid Hero, Super Ass Rider, Master Mao didn't show up, along with some of the Toronto and surrounding area players in the Orbit Monthlies and first season of Ranbat in the past year. Ratio 1 beat down Yellow S4, Flight Wing to Desi Canadian, RPG V2 WB, Kinma Noodleman, Gurjay RDK. That's what, 10 players I just named not wanting to enter, most likely in the main games or running brackets, as various player participation could have affected the final outcome of the bracket. Could have had an additional 6 to 8 entrants. A huge disappointment for the home major and biggest tournament of the year. So yeah, I wish we would had at least some of these other players. Yeah, this would have fucking, altered out the final results. Like in my opinion, some of the better players and even some of the regulars did not want to play. I don't know why, but it's like, what? It was just $5. We already went through our 16-man minimum, but we had to cap it because of time constraints and shit, maybe. And other people either in another game. Some people are in Marvel, some people are in CVS2, some people are in Third Strike, and one person's in Guilty Gear and Melty Blood. So it's pretty fucking hard, and some other people are running brackets at the same time. So, time constraints or whatever. I felt like this was a disappointment. Like, this is our national tournament, but on the flip side, though, I managed to get top 8. And that was one of 3 top 8s I managed to get in that weekend's tournament at the home major. So that's pretty cool. Psycho Gauntlet in effect for the first time ever. So what I'm talking about is not even the game of Alpha 3. This is Tournament Directing 101. This is my first time that my efficient bracket directing system comes into play in a big event. 16-man bracket with only 1 station. Gotta co-director this role 3 times with Dogberry the whole weekend. Alpha 2 Friday and ST Saturday. Run winner's bracket any order you want until top 8. Run the loser's bracket left to right instead of up to down until top 8, as the winner must stay on as you always have a match on deck. Then run top 8 however what's available to run at the time. So basically, when I run a bracket at the time and I only have 16 players and I only have 1 station to work with and motherfuckers are in other games, and I'll use Justin Wong and JS Master as prime examples because I know that these 2 players will enter the Big 3, CVS2, Marvel 2, Third Strike, and will most likely be in top 5. So I need to find some type of efficient system to run a bracket. Just run any order you want. It does not matter going into winners. Here are your 4 and winners top 8. And now in terms of the losers bracket, don't run it up to down, run it left to right. Whoever is in this first round match in losers, in my opinion, and how to see this, you gotta beat 2 players just to get into top 8. And I'm gonna make you sit down. No fucking cigarette break, no bathroom break. I'm even lucky to give you 2 minutes to fucking stretch your arms and your legs. Run it left to right because whoever wins must stay on. Here's your next opponent. There you go. And whoever wins, here's your next opponent. And whoever wins that, okay, here's your next opponent. And now you're in top 8. Please wait. Or you can play other games now. Tournaments don't really run on time. And just to let you know, back then, winners finals and losers finals are 3 out of 5. And grand finals is 4 out of 7. So that shit is long as fuck. So you gotta understand how tournaments don't run on time. Yeah, this is one of the reasons, and I figured out some type of time efficient system to fucking do this. And why do I have a YouTube link? Because you get to see how it's explained on stream when I did this in 2017, 10 years later at Canada Cup, when I ran the ST semis bracket.
I know. I think, we're not on paper anymore. We're just on computer. But I see this is Silent Scope.
The Scope of Silence,
down.
yes. One of my favorite players from US right now.
And I can...
Silent
wow,
Scope.
they're gauntleting. Oh, this must... Psychochronic is running brackets. Psychochronic loves the gauntlet. He's going to gauntlet. He's going to... And the next guy, the next one that wins, he's going to stay on and he's going to play the next guy.
Oh, okay.
Psychochronic loves the gauntlet.
Yep, that's how I fucking roll.
Psycho Gauntlet.
Yep.
Psycho Gauntlet.
Yes.
All right, so
going back to
match.
Silent Scope, as I was saying.
All right, and that's how I fucking roll. So there you go. So that's my experience of T8. Running 3 different games, the first ever console major in the home scene. Somehow top 8 because people didn't enter. Running 3 different games is not fucking easy, and it's very fucking stressful. So I'm glad to see some reward came out because, I didn't really do that good at Ranbat and maybe other monthlies, but somehow getting top 8, at least I'm fucking happy. And I only lost to Justin Wong, the almighty Justin Wong, and the best player in Toronto in JS Masters. So, and I'm using a low tier character in Mika, V-ism Mika, and I'm losing to V-ism Sakura. So there you go. October 2007, one of very few games part of the GGPO client along with Super Turbo and Alpha 2. Introduction of Gibson, 1, 2, 3. GGPO player and YouTube translator who happens to live about 20 minutes walk from my place in the same neighborhood in northwest Mississauga. Another online and casual warrior to play games with offline, as the activity for this game in the scene is now dead, and GGPO was still in its early stages. One of many sessions hosted for this game to be at my house years later, in the years of Brett Cave 1, as I managed to get arcade sticks and recording hardware to start hosting casual sessions in my basement. So how did I meet this guy? Sure, you can forums, matchmaking, and you're allowed to put a location. It says Mississauga, Ontario. So I'm like, yo, I played GGPO a bit, and I really wasn't really getting used to it, even though I kind of had to, at that time, a year before, quit my Xbox Live subscription. So I played a little bit of the GGPO, and this guy posted on Sure You Can forums of matchmaking, add me, Gibson, see me online, my name is Gibson. Cool. So I private messaged this guy, yo, what part of Mississauga do you live in? And he told me he lives in basically the northern part of my neighborhood. That's about 20 to 30 minutes walk. So I figure, yo, let's meet up and play some casuals offline. Fuck online. Like, it doesn't matter if we're gonna play this on PlayStation 2 or Dreamcast or an emulator. I just want to play some games. So we met halfway at like a convenience store. It's like a little plaza, and we met in front of at a convenience store. And then we fucking walked to this guy's townhouse complex. And, we're smoking weed, and, we're going to play some games. So it's pretty cool. So you're meeting an online warrior at the time. So I'm basically walking from, I would say, Trelawney, east of Trelawney Circle, in the Osprey neighborhood, if you know your Mississauga geography, and I'm walking all the way to 10th Line Ontario Road, which is a major intersection, and on that corner is a townhouse complex called Avonlea Towers. And we are playing on MAME32K.0117, except for the scanline matches, which were played on MAME32K.064. So, a little bit of match footage, and I'm just going to show the first 4 matches because the last four matches don't have sound. So, this is the first time I've met Gibson 123, and we're gonna play some Alpha 3 at his house, just at a random morning. And a random morning, and this is it. All right, so. Alright, so I'm using a Hori EX2 stick, so the Fisher-Price Xbox 360 stick that's modded to PS2, and I'm using that modded stick with a PS2 to USB converter. Gibson, on the other hand, is using a Logitech, almost like a PS3 DualShock controller, but it's like one of those imitation controllers, and it's made by Logitech. So, alright, so I'll show the next 3 matches of this playlist. Go BRB in a minute. BRB. Be right back. This has to be the fourth and last match of this part. Alright, so this is October 2007 where I first meet Gibson. Only very few people have met him. You know, kind of introverted kind of guy. Plays, games, but not really fighting games on the most. And only, I think, Jet.07 and Fareed and Jogberry have met him, so that's fine. But at least you have another person to play, so it's pretty cool. December 2007. The True Canadian ST session hosted at my place with Dogberry and Jet.07, featuring legendary Toronto OGs in David Spence, 007 in Vaughn, and Brian Feldstein, Berkeley, Brian, and Richmond Hill. As they were in the region during Christmas vacation, Spence lives in Philadelphia and Brian lives in SoCal. Quite possibly the best ST session ever hosted and recorded in the history of the scene before a second ST revival in 2016. got some time to record 2 first to fives versus David Spence during the session. So this to me was a very special casual that I've ever hosted, and in my opinion, possibly the best ST session before 2016. So you managed to get 2 Generation 1 OGs in David Spence and Brian Feldstein, to whom have competed at EVOs and made it out of pools at EVOs, and you're playing OGs, and you're having them in your house the day after Boxing Day. Yeah, I memorized the date, and you have this new capture card, and you have, all the sticks and the consoles, and now you're hosting casuals. And this was a perfect opportunity right here, to have, a long ST session, but at the same time, well, let's have some Alpha 3 in on this. So, alright, here's a playlist. Warning, protect your ears. Now, now when I say warning, protect your ears, it means to say that back then, I was still early into, capturing, I wouldn't, live streaming didn't exist. Capturing and recording and uploading to YouTube, and the decibels in the video were too high. So if I were you watching this video, I would turn your shit down, and I would I'm gonna put the YouTube video on the lowest setting. So I'm afraid that my ears will explode. So I'm taking off my earphones, and then I'm going to play the video, I'm going to pause it, and then put it on the minimum setting. Is that good? Yeah. There you go. Alright, so I want to watch my first to 5 with Spence, because it's me and Jet07 that get a first to 5. First 2 matches I win, I know he's just warming up. Use A. Dawson. I want the main thing. I want the main guy now. So now it's Dawson, and it gets, now it's a rough road. Ready? This is a bad match. Balls and boots carry the three. well. This is fucking fun. Back to Mika.
Hey, come on! Stand up! Face it straight! It's showtime! Face it!
Five with David Spence, and yeah, one of the best sessions I've ever hosted. One of the best sets I've ever played against a top player, and it's a good thing I met, you know, a casual online warrior in Gibson, so I can at least have some knowledge of the Dawson match. And, you know, you realize that V Mika, the worst character, is better than getting your chances winning in than V Karen. So it's like, alright, that's pretty good. Well, that was a pretty good one right there. April 2008, Battle for Bus Fare tournament at Love Getty Station featuring a multitude of games. Third Strike, Guilty Gear XX Accent Core, Marvel 2, CVS 2, Alpha 3, and Super Turbo prior to the home major in T9. Super Turbo and Alpha 3 played in an emulated 401 board on a Super Megalo 2 cabinet. Now, before we even get to the results, this is one of the cabinets that Love Getty Station had. You know, they had, you know, a lot of, you know, head-to-head cabinets, and that's where most of the fighting games were played. But in terms of the emulator cabinet, was in the Super Megalo 2 cabinet. So what is the Super Megalo 2? I'm just gonna get. Can I blow up the picture? Yeah. View, open image, and tab. There you go. So this is a Super Megalo 2 cabinet, which is basically one screen with, you know, a sitting area, and, you know, and the sticks all right behind from like a greater distance. This is a fucking amazing cabinet, and this is what Love Getty Station played on in their 401 cabinet. So having to play on this machine rather than, you know, a head-to-head setup was actually pretty exciting. All right, and 14 people entered. Your top 3: Toronto, Ottawa, and Hamilton. So Ottawa showed up on this one, and CB, who was in the Canadian team for the Empire versus Canada. He's from the Kingston/Ottawa area, and he managed to show up, and we just had, this was a fucking amazing monthly, to be honest, because, you know, it was pretty good. I managed to get a ride to Love Getty because I've never taken the bus, and it's 7 total transfers and 3 fares. I'm not gonna fucking do that. So I managed to get a ride from, I think, Fareed, and I remember I didn't sleep that day because that day I managed to get second in Super Turbo, and it was the first time I've ever used Bison. But this is Alpha 3. I felt like, you know, I always lost to a V Zangief. It's either Yellow S4 or Noodleman, and then I'd lose to someone else. It was most likely CB or a Random Ray RPG V2. And I'm using, you know, a low tier character, and we're all playing on an emulation board. This ain't like the CPS2 board. It's just a board full of ROMs that you can just choose. That's why they call it a 401 board. So there you go. So Battle for Bus Fare, one of 2 tournaments that's played on an emulated board on a Super Megalo 2 cabinet, and I managed to get top 5 in both, which is pretty cool. July 2018, the home major in T9 held at Club Simbario at Dufferin in Eglinton. No tournament due to lack of interest, as it didn't meet the mandatory 16-man minimum to run a side game. And if it was to be run, it was to be run on the Friday team tournament day rather than the Saturday singles day, as well as not having an extra CRT available for this game. So I'm like, okay, if the rules of this tournament says that you can only have 16, you need to have a minimum of 16 people to actually have, you know, a side tournament. And yes, everything was 2 out of 3 except for winners and losers finals 3 out of 5 and grand finals 4 out of 7. And you have so much time constraints and, you know, time conflictions or whatnot. I'm not going to do this one. I've already agreed to do Super Turbo on the Sunday. So Alpha 3 does not happen at this home major. So January 2009, a little old and a little new at Pones in Hamilton. Final monthly tournament, Third Strike, CVS 1, CVS 2, Super Turbo HD Remix, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, Cross Generation of Heroes. Before Street Fighter 4 makes its console debut 2 weeks later. Alpha 3 got cancelled due to input lag on the PS3, and that was the only place you could only console that was available that day, as there was no spare PS2 and CRT available. And yes, we would have to not only play Alpha 3 on the PS3 because, Someone had an alpha anthology disc, and those PS3s were backwards compatible, but at the same time, there was already input delay on past emulated game. PS1, PS2 games on the PS3, on top of having to play on LCD plasma screen TVs, most likely LG or Samsung, so you have input delay. So I think it was perfectly agreed after the first tournament match and kind of observing this, refund everyone's money back, fuck it. May 2009, the rival major in Montreal Annual Tournament 6. Never had the chance to compete in the rival major in their game of expertise pre-SF4 at Mira Amusements, so this is my chance with the only practice in the scene is the Brett Cave 1 Casuals versus Gibson, and the result is me going 0-2, losing to Prez A. Dulcim and Jason Boss V. Dulcim. Your top 4 of the tournament, because it wasn't fully recorded: first, Temujin; second, Hero; third, Sandman; fourth, Prez. So, getting the chance to play the rival scene in their game of expertise at least once is all I've ever asked for, and here it is, and you got bodied, because the rule is if you were a top player in this game, and chances are you have not stopped playing the game, you are still considered a top player because you have not stopped playing the same game over the last 10 or 20 years. And this game at the time was, 11 years old, so there you go. Montreal was always known as the best city, in my opinion, in North America, not excluding West Coast or East Coast. Like, they were the best city in North America for this game. October 2009, final Alpha 3 session to be recorded at Brett Cave 1 on Halloween night. I have recorded 25 sessions for this game since December 2007, with Alpha 2 until September 2009, and Hyper Street Fighter Alpha until January 2010. Mainly late night stoner casuals with Gibson, going on from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. It was a fun ride while it lasted, but you have to focus on other games in the 2010 tournament calendar: Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, and Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Ultimate All-Stars. And I'm going to post this playlist here. What is this playlist that you're thinking of that I am posting up? This is every single game and session that I've ever hosted at the Brett Cave 1. My first ever casuals in the basement. So here we have CVS 2, Mark of the Wolves, Accent Core, Arcana Heart, and here two parts of Hyper Alpha, everything of Mead versus Gibson. All 3 parts of mainly Mead versus Gibson, with a little bit of Jet 07 and Dogberry and Farid in there. Everything from Alpha 3. Wait, there are 4 parts to this. 4 parts, not 3, and 3 parts to Alpha 2. And I've hosted everything else in other games. This is the place where you can play Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, hence of why there are 8 parts to this, and more parts including for HD Remix. So, yeah, there you go. My place was just a place for OG man casuals. And just that. Who else can you play with? And there is no tournaments, available for this game at this time in 2009, because everyone's focused on Street Fighter 4, and we still got to adapt to these, CRT to LCD settings, PS3 versus 360 settings. There's no time to play past games, because when Street Fighter 4 came in, they killed CVS 2, they killed Alpha 3, and they killed Marvel 2. Third Strike has still had some activity in there, and ST was transitioning to HD for that time frame. So there you go, and that is the end of that chapter. Slightly 1 hour and 5 minutes. This chapter is my first I would say my first year and only year that I've ever tried to play on Kaillera on occasions, along with my first 4 years in the scene and relating to Street Fighter Alpha 3. So there you go. That is the end of that chapter. Alright. Let's get on to the next chapter of this episode.
Here comes the new challenger.
Second run, late Street Fighter 4 / esports era, 2015 to 2018. March 2015, Acho tournament in Kyoto. First tournament played in May since May 2009. Montreal Annual Tournament 6. So this is my first Japan trip, and one of the arcades, the most famous one, is Acho, which is located in Kyoto. Hosts various different games, and there was a lot of Alpha 3 that they've hosted ever since. And I've archived everything prior to like 2010. So here we're gonna they uploaded the video, but they omitted my match. I don't know why, but we don't need to play the full video. I'll just scroll through it just like this every 5 seconds. Yeah, they just totally scrolled out my match, but my matches were against Sin, the CVS2 player, and he V-Chun-Li Infinite me to death. And I forget who I lost to. I think it was a Gen player. Could be this Gen player right here. I don't know if it's Dark, aka Kumadaru. Kumadaru. Yeah, so I don't see me. Yeah, I'm supposed to be in this video, but they completely omitted me out. But I'm like, whatever, but that's all fine and cool. So, bracket apostrophe O means photo album. So, here you go. Photo album of Acho. This is during a Street Fighter 4 rookie tournament. So, I got to play some 0-3, Japanese Alpha 3 beforehand. And just, you know, pics of the venue. Showed up for this one, which is pretty cool. They play on the arcade CPS2 board. They don't play on the Nessica X Live board because it's known to have lag issues. See, Psychochronic 2120. That's when I played in the rookie, the rookie Street Fighter 4 tournament. And no one here plays on this version. See, my player points is 261, yet this no-name guy is like one of the best players in Japan in the Nessica X Live, and he's not going to put that rank on the line. So I managed to get, I don't know what's my win streak at that point. But yeah, I managed to, like, you know, manage to beat this guy, and that somehow increases my ranking, I guess. 11 wins, 3 losses, 78.6 win percentage, 1028 player points. Use this Nessica card. So I had a Nessica card, and here I have 8 wins in a row, and I'm using V Charlie and 1923 to 2051 point on Nessica. But you know, I'm using that as practice, and then I somehow get my fucking ass kicked very badly by the rest of Japan in actual CPS2 during the tournament. So yeah, this is Hero, Sakura, Psychochronic Karen, Sin, Chun-Li. I don't know how to pronounce this name again, and I don't know who this one is, Zangief. So I guess it's round robin. Yeah, so it's round robin, and I lost pretty fucking badly. But yeah, here are more pics of and that's all the pics of that arcade. Yeah. November 2016, Club Sega Shinjuku Nishiguchi tournament that acts as the Kanto qualifier for Ultimate 012. This was done in my final day in Tokyo before I had to go to Osaka a day before my flight back to Toronto. And a great opportunity to at least once play in a qualifier to a Japanese major in Ultimate 0. 100 yen entry, first to one, character lock, random seating. So I'm going to show you the photo album of that one. Ultimate 012 Kanto qualifier. And yes, there is a video of this one. So, Bison vs. Bison Mirror. So this arcade is famous for having the most amount of activity for Ultra Street Fighter 4 and Under Night and Birth EXE. So they managed to use this arcade as the Kanto qualifier spot and got the chance to enter, and I just decided to use Karen rather than Mika just because a bit of getting in some secret photograph shots of the arcade. There you go. And yeah, and this is the full match that's on YouTube. I know that this is 40 minutes, so I managed to film the whole thing. There you go. We're gonna go to me. Oh, there you go. Psychochronic. afraid to jump. He'll just shore you me. I am nervous as fuck. I am nervous as fuck on this one. There you go. Eliminated. First to one. Character lock. Single elimination. Random seeding. And there you go. That's my experience at Ultimate 012. I've never been to a Japanese major. Well, technically I never competed on a qualifier to a Japanese major, but it's not like I've not been to, let's say, I've never been to, let's say, Evo Japan or Super Battle Opera or Toshinsai, which are like the Japanese majors, but the difference in Japan is that Japanese majors are all done like game individual. That's why you have, like, in CVS2 you have Rolinpic, and in Vampire Savior you have Darkstalkers Combination Cup, and in Third Strike, what do they have for Third Strike? Cooperation Cup, and then in Alpha 3 they have Ultimate 012. So I've got the chance to spectate two previous majors before, in Topanga World League 2 for Ultra Street Fighter 4, and the battle to decide the strongest team at Acho, which is the first major in Japan for BlazBlue Central Faction. So for this one actually takes a day before. This one actually takes place a day before the world's strongest team battle for BlazBlue, and this was taken the day of a rookie Vampire Savior tournament at Mikado. So basically, you got to do two tournaments in one day, and this is the last one before you got to go to Shinjuku and get your luggage from the locker and then take the bus to Osaka. So. June 2018, MTLSF Tatsumaki Tuesday, Season 3, Number 18. Montreal Weekly Tournament in Montreal Gaming Center, 8 to 10 minutes walk from Saint Laurent. Special Alpha 3 Tournament as Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection was released 1 week prior. Another wish for an OG comes true as you get to play the rival scene in their game of expertise. Lost to Temujin v Sakura and Chai Rithi v Sakura. Results: SARS first, v Charlie v Sagat v Zangief. Second, Temujin v Sakura. Third, Chai Rithi v Sakura. And fourth, Psychochronic v Karinen v Mika. So let's go to the photo album of this one. You're in the rival scene, MTLSF Tatsumaki Tuesdays. So this is where they play Street Fighter 5 and Tekken and Tekken. So this is their home spot, which is like East Downtown of Montreal, which is a pretty good spot. Got the chance to be here once at least. This was a week after the release of Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. So this was a pretty good experience. I covered this venue and a chapter in a previous episode of Montreal FGC events. And then we're going to watch the highlight video.
Let me get the names right.
Hey! See, this Sakura has more experience.
But that's a charity. He just plays everything.
I know he played it early in his career.
Oh, really?
He was playing with Sandman and SARS.
Okay. Oh, get combos. Okay. Nice. Woo! Reset? Yo! This game.
It was just a regular air combo after that you could flip through.
Mm-hmm. We're playing footsies right now. Jump in, no entire the sound, gets the records. Ooh, try to chase him down.
Oh.
And juggle time by Charity and stuff. Oh, season. Okay. Okay, cool. Alpha 3, season 4. Alright. So wait, SARS is just keeping the massacre happening. Right? So the booking game right now. Arbika has the activation, but I don't know what she can do. I don't see that game too often. Oh wait, there it is. Oh, that's what she does. Okay. Butt splash, loop. That's a lot of damage. What's gonna happen? Nope. Gets to roll out. Another slide. Jesus. Ooh! Was that a throw or command grab? Was that a throw? Okay, there you go. Oh, just a slimmer of life here. Oh, activation! Oh my god, that was godlike. That was sick. 2-0, Temujin. Pretty good stuff. Oh man. That was actually pretty sick. I like it. You're crushing fierce, man.
Yeah,
looking
it's
really,
annoying.
yeah, you're looking really good right now. Oh my god.
Chester figured out that
How to deal with that.
standing-
Oh, good throw.
Yeah.
Oh, another
air
one.
throw. Master of throw.
Oh, SARS. SARS. Showing what's up. I like that. Angry
Good roll.
Or I could be like really OG, play X, you know.
Yeah.
Play, very X, because X stands for ST, so.
Exactly.
So. Juggle. Nice.
V stands for variable combo, and A stands
Alpha.
for alpha, or
Yeah.
Z in Japan.
Yeah,
0.
okay.
So,
Mm-hmm.
since he was stuffed by the Zangief last match,
Yeah, this should
So-
be like,
more competitive for sure.
let's see. Go with the target combo misses.
Misses because shorter characters, the mid attack, some mid attacks go over their head, like Sakura's stand roundhouse. It does.
Ooh, that's a punish. Yeah, I like that. That was sick. Good stuff by Ramio. Recognizes the whiff and
Yeah.
goes straight to the super punish.
Guy is one of the few. Karen, I'm not 100% sure.
Ooh, double. Oh, there it is. By miss.
Nice. Ooh.
Nice and tight. Ooh, he's gonna
Hey,
get that. Yep.
Hey.
Yep.
Hey.
Yep.
Hey.
Yep.
Hey.
Yep.
Hey. Oh, he missed it. Oh,
that
that's
was
reset.
that was intentional.
Nice. What he wanted though, actually, you can combo. You can OTG.
Oh, really?
Combo.
Okay, I
Yeah,
see, I see.
exactly. That's what he wanted. I not locked in the corner. Alright, nice. Fighting his way out. Good jump in.
This is such a nice music, man.
Yo, sit on you. Sit on you.
Oh my god.
Not this time.
A
At the
A
face.
A.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that was a reset.
That's it. That's done.
Damn.
Nice. He
First-
could've-
I'm always whipping
I
360s
think
for some
could have
reason.
done that
Just
too.
quarter circle back, yet I'm
Hey,
fucking
there it
with a
is.
360.
Hey, look at
Ah,
you.
ooh.
Hey,
Ooh.
hey,
Ooh. I like that.
nice.
Oh,
Hey.
backbreaker.
Oh, again. Oh, she was flying.
She was flying. Nice.
Hey,
Ooh.
hey.
Oh, was he looking for something?
Hey, he wants the headbutt. Headbutt, SBT.
Oh, but Tony though.
Hey,
Oh
nice.
my
Oh my
goodness,
god, so
the
much
damage.
I'm
Oh,
still alive, still alive.
oh.
Hey,
Hey.
What's he gonna
5
do?
seconds on
One
the
more
clock though.
Activate.
Oh my goodness. That was a tough situation
He
though.
had no
because-
choice.
Yeah, because
Tough situation.
he ended up like
very
really
tough.
close with Zangief, and
Yeah.
Zangief.
All right, and yeah, that's June 2018. One of my second last appearance in Montreal for an FGC event, and yeah, you got the wish of an OG. You got to play the rival scene and their game of expertise, and you know it was a pretty good experience. To tell you that much, it was pretty good, man. August 2018, retro run back in Super 1-Up Games in downtown Hamilton. First retro run back in 4.5 years. Played on PS4 SF30th Anniversary Collection. Lost to Turbo, Two-Tone, V Sakura, and Van Nguyen V Kami. So I kind of did the research here, so I made a mistake on the last episode of which is CVS2 Retro Run Back. 2 did not take place in 2017. It took place in 2018 because kind of seeing it now, it's like, oh, SF30th Anniversary didn't get released. Oh, and you are training for Alpha 3 for the next section of this chapter. So, yeah. So just, historical accurate mistake on the last episode, but Retro Run Back 2 takes place in August 2018, and even though I got 7th in CVS 2 and 3rd in Alpha 3, I won Alpha 2 and Super Turbo, and that's excellent warm-up for Summer Jam later on that month. August 2018. Alright, don't need that section again. Summer Jam 12 in Cherry Hill, Philadelphia. Apostrophe O, whatever, we'll skip that one. Summer Jam 12 in Cherry Hill, Philadelphia. One of 3 Big E Gaming majors, one of many games, Alpha 2, Alpha 3, Vampire Savior, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, part of the free entry games dynamic, along with an ST Tournament of Legends 3 qualifier, played on head-to-head arcade cabinet, lost to the respective first and second placers in Cali Agent, V-Ken, and Roleno 13A Birdie. So I felt like in this one, I felt like I blanked out, and it's like, well, I suck at this game. Yeah, I'm pretty bad. So I managed to get top 8. It's a free entry tournament. And for those that don't know, in some Big E majors, there's a free game dynamic where you can enter the maximum of 5 free games, and each game already has a fixed prize structure with a already like fixed prize pot, and the prize split 60-30-10. And so it's like if you win, let's say Alpha 3 here, you got the prize is $300. First place is walking out with 210 no matter what. Right, no matter, and it's what 32 to 64 man cap depending on the games, but yeah, it's just a free game dynamic. Might as well put some pot fillers in the seats, and I managed to get top 8. So all those months of training, along with breaking my ankle months earlier in the summer, and having to train up for ST Tournament of Legends, I felt like I did not do satisfied in this game. I really wanted to get at least top 3. Like, I felt pretty disappointed in my performance on that one. So, yeah. And is that okay, that is actually short. That is the end of that chapter, nearly 19 minutes. So, this chapter is basically my history of Street Fighter Alpha 3, playing in events from 2015 to 2018. So, there you go. And that's the end of that chapter. Alright. Let's get on to the next chapter of this episode.
Here comes the new challenger.
COVID-19, the Ice Age 2020. March to August 2020. Recording sets with Minibok during the pandemic. Games to be played in this session, mainly CVS 2 with Alpha 3 and Hyper Street Fighter 2 in there. Must leave 5:30 a.m. to start 7 a.m. casuals. The bus is to the other side of town. Played on PS2 Street Fighter Alpha Anthology. Way better than playing on Fightcade on wireless connection on an office laptop. First time using V Charlie in casual offline sets since 2007, because why not learn a new and interesting character? What do we have here? A YouTube link, which is a search to my channel. If you were to search the name Minibok in my channel, mainly CVS 2, but we'll just go into Alpha 3, A3. So this is all the times I've recorded Street Fighter Alpha 3 with Minibok. I know it's not as highly emphasized as it is in CVS 2, because the casuals were meant to be in CVS 2. So what happened here is, how did these casuals start, is that I was in Edmonton 2 weeks before the pandemic. I needed a vacation and just, focus and relax and kind of think about what's going on in the upcoming months. And then COVID-19 happens, a global pandemic, and the rule is that in most countries you are trapped in the house for 3 months. So basically, it's like I'm basically trapped here, and it's not safe for me to go back to Toronto and go back home to Mississauga, especially at a time like this. I am stuck here until said time frame is safe. I was trapped here for 5.5 months. So from March to August, what the fuck am I gonna do? I gotta stay at home all fucking day. So what happened is I managed to go to Craigslist first, managed to buy a Street Fighter 4 TE stick for like I think 60 or $70, and I got into contact with Minibach, who happens to play all the OG games in the Edmonton FGC, and we hosted casual sessions at his house because we cannot go to Overclock Gaming, because if I'm in the southeast and he's in the southwest and Overclock Gaming is in the north central, it's just a waste of time and money and extreme risk of putting yourself vulnerable to COVID. So basically, to work things out, let's host casuals at his house. It takes an hour and a half for me to get there, so I would leave my house 5:30 in the morning for the first bus, and then I have to take 2 buses to get to this guy's house at 7 a.m. and we'd be playing fighting games, and I'd bring my external recorder so I can record for YouTube, just to assure that there's always some type of offline activity going on somewhere in North America, especially in these old-ass games like CVS 2 or Anniversary Edition or Alpha 3. So basically, I was fortunate enough to get some activity there. And why do I have bracket VLC? There are 2 highlight videos to this. BRB. hello? Okay, good. Thought we had a sound error. So that's the first of two highlight videos. Let's get the second one up there. Alright, then that's the end of those two highlight videos. So, managing to play offline during a pandemic, you're fortunate enough to get that. It was better than anything rather than online. And this was a very fortunate thing, because if I was in Toronto during the pandemic, nobody wanted to meet up for fear of getting, testing positive for the COVID coronavirus. So here, it was a different situation. And yeah. And yes, I had to leave the house 5:30 in the morning just to catch the first bus, because getting to this area is, pretty simple, but I was basically like a morning person at the time. There's no way I'm going to play at this guy's house from overnight, and I'm not going to fucking take that $35 Uber. So here it was pretty good. Got some offline activity in there, so. October 2020. First to 10 ranked match on Fightcade 1 with local Toronto player SJ using V Sodom in one of the final online recordings in Brett Cave 3 before my move to Edmonton 6 weeks later. So I was back 5.5 months absence, and then here I am back at home at Mississauga, and I'm preparing to leave as my roommate, who I did live with, which was Gibson, earlier in the previous chapter. Previous chapter, we met online in GGPO, and then we started hanging out and being stoner buddies, and then little did you know, you lived together for 5 years and been on 2 Japan trips together, and then we just decided to part ways, and I'm basically alone in this house in Mississauga, and I'm preparing to leave to move to Edmonton 6 weeks later. And I did play a little bit of not GGPO, Fightcade 2, from Super Turbo, Alpha 2, Alpha 3 to even Sailor Moon S and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. So And yeah, why do I have my Fightcade ID link? Everyone has a Fightcade ID. Everyone has a Fightcade profile, and it keeps track of your entire playing history and replay history. And in this case, SJ7, the time we played Alpha 3, October 17, 2020, 9:47 p.m. First to 10, score Psychochronic 10, SJ7, 40 minutes. I'm not going to press the link, it's okay. So yeah, that's the time I played SJ. That was the last time I've ever recorded. One of the last times I've ever recorded me playing online in my third house in Mississauga before the move to Edmonton. And here we go now with the outroduction. Finn. Thank you very much for, listening to this episode of Rarity Talk, which discusses my history in Street Fighter Alpha 3. So with that episode done, and now all I gotta do is join all the parts and upload. What am I gonna do for next episode? Well, I have my history with Vampire Savior, my history with Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, a comprehensive history of TOSF at Big E Gaming and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That would be very long. That would be about 3 to 4 hours. So I don't even know. I don't even have scripts ready for any of these episodes highlighted here. So if I was to release the next episode, which would be episode 16, possibly it could be Vampire Savior or Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix. So there you go. This is episode 15 of Rarity Talk. I hope you like what I do. I hope you appreciate what I do, which is sharing my experience in the fighting game community, and there's no one that can do something this comprehensive and has lasted this long and played almost all the games and tried to experience a lot. So please appreciate what I do. I hope you guys do good and just enjoying this nice beautiful weather. Hopefully you don't get COVID. Hopefully just enjoy what's going on outside, because majors are starting to reopen back, and people wanting to go to sporting events and concerts, and various countries with COVID entries have been waived off. So I hope you enjoy what I do, and I'll see you when I see you.